In the usual non-corona time, the capital of Slovenia, Ljubljana, is visited by up to 2 million people a year. The current situation is, of course, a bit different. In order to feel the actual pulse of the city, Mrs. Alja Mravljak will take us around Ljubljana. She will focus mainly on architectural urban Ljubljana over time.
Hello, my name is Alja Mravljak and a big welcome from Ljubljana, Slovenia. I will be the one to show you around Ljubljana and the architecture of the city, the squares and the urbanistic development of the city itself. I am a local Ljubljanese, born and bred here. I also studied art history and sociology of culture at the Ljubljana University, and as well as I am a local Ljubljanese Slovenian tourist guide. So I feel really humbled and I thank you very much for inviting me here to join you on the seminar and to give this very short presentation of how our city looks like. So let's go. In the old times, Ljubljana consisted of 3 different parts. Each of those parts would have their own city walls, and we believe that each of those 3 parts would also have their own town hall. So they had their own, in a way, government and their own laws. But we are now in the oldest part of Ljubljana, which is called the Old Square or the Old Town, and this is where the story of the city starts. There's no big decoration, all of the floors are equal because the houses were mostly built for merchants. Gap in between the 2 houses, that was a typical structure and the way of building houses in the 13th and 14th centuries. Those 4 of them, they still show it on the facade as well, when the others might still have it in the old town. You can see it. This is a great example here on the left hand side, but we wouldn't be able to see it because the facades are in one line, as it was the Baroque style of the era when they renovated the old town. The ground floor was usually occupied either by a storage or by a shop. First floor, which is actually called the mezzanine, so the middle floor in the time of the Baroque, this is the one that we can see up there, was occupied by the servants. The second floor with the big balcony there, that's the beautiful one, called the piano nobile, so the noble floor, which was occupied by the owner. And then we have one more floor which was occupied by the rest of the servants. And in this way we can see that the times changed and the houses as well. The city was getting more city-like and less like a small town that it was in the Middle Ages. And this is the town hall of Ljubljana. It was built in the 15th century already, so before the earthquake, but it had to be renovated many times later on. So what we see today actually is the facade, and this one dates back to 1717. Yet the town hall was not the only project of the beginning of 18th century Ljubljana. Look at those beautiful male figures pouring water from jars. They are topped with a huge obelisk of 10 meters. The street that you see behind me, now called the STRITARJEVA street, was completely demolished. So after the earthquake they had to put down all of the buildings and renovate on what we see today. The areas of Ljubljana which were heavily devastated were renovated and rebuilt in the new style. After the earthquake they definitely started rebuilding and renovating this whole street called SCHWEIGER street from the main square of PREŠEREN up all the way about 400 meters toward the railway station, and this became the most fashionable and the most luxurious department store place or area in Ljubljana. You can see a department store, the first one in Ljubljana, with this beautiful fan-like glass entrance into the sales department place. We can see here that's the Ivan Vurnik's most famous and most beautiful Slovenian building in red, blue and white colors. The same colors as we Slovenians use on our national flag. Very modernistic, classicist, if you can call it like this, which means that he was using the materials and he was using a vocabulary of a contemporary modern architecture of the time, especially when he was making urbanistic plans. But on the other side, he used a lot of classical elements. So whenever in Ljubljana you see those different colonnades or balustrades or spheres, balls, pyramids, it's usually one of Jože Plečnik's works. He made a lot of projects in Ljubljana. He was this genius with knowing of the history. Jože Plečnik could have just put down the old bridge behind me and made a bigger one. That was actually the main idea, but instead he decided for a complete preservation of the old bridge, and he instead added the side pedestrian bridges on the left and on the right hand side. In the open-air market of Ljubljana, Plečnik decided to show Ljubljana the two traditions. On the inside, where the people would gather, he decided for an architecture that resembles a Greek agora, so a place where people were meeting and selling their stuff in old Greek times. On the outside, on the riverside, Plečnik decided to show and remind the Ljubljana people of the medieval walls. The medieval city walls were located on the exact same spot, and they really indeed looked like they look today. It was one of the most progressive buildings in that time's Balkans. The building was quite controversial, built in that beautiful Art Deco style. The skyscraper was the tallest in the Balkans and the 9th tallest building in the region. There's not a lot of decoration. The whole building is done in iron and concrete materials, and is mostly undecorated except for the ground floor and the top 3 floors where the cafe was added in a beautiful crown, as you can see on the top. The only decoration on the facade itself is the statue, which is 4 meters tall and represents a female figure. The Ljubljana people started calling the skyscraper, even before it was finished, a freak. A freak because it was so tall, a freak because it had no decoration on the facade, and a freak because it was scaring them very much. It was a modern foreign influence from the United States, from far away, with a Slovenian architect though, but still a threat to the traditions of Slovenia. After the Second World War, Slovenia became a part of Socialistic Republic of Yugoslavia. The architect Edvard Ravnikar made this brutalistic square. The square was done with 2 big skyscrapers. The square is done beautifully. It opens in front of the parliament. Of course, the 2 tallest buildings are the banks and the offices. The parliament being really tiny, but it also has a lot of terraces and staircases connecting them. So this is the biggest square of Slovenia, not only Ljubljana, but with those terraces and transitions, Edvard Ravnikar and achieved the idea of multiple spaces in only one surface area. The most contemporary hotel, 4-star superior quality in 350 rooms. The northern facade, breaking in this crystal-like shape, resembles the mountains of the Alps. The southern facade, though, looks toward the old town and the city center, and the architects decided to shape it in a form resembling the old town of Ljubljana, which is a fantastic, in my opinion, fantastic mixture of both features typical for Ljubljana, that is the Alps, as well as the rich and long history with an old town, as we had already seen on our short walk around Ljubljana today. And so we concluded our short walk through the history and the places of Ljubljana. There is, of course, much more than what we had seen and managed to show in this short video. So if you ever come to Ljubljana, you will see much richer historical and urbanistical heritage that Ljubljana possesses. I hope you enjoyed our short walk. I also hope that if you ever come to Ljubljana, I maybe meet you or see you here on the spot in the center of Slovenia. This was Alja Mravljak, a local tour guide, an art historian and a sociologist of culture, straight from Ljubljana. Enjoy your seminar that follows. Thank you.